One of the things that I really like about your writing style is that you write very much in a narrative form. And I know that the styles of music are completely different, but it's the same sort of form that Harry Chapin used to write in. And it's something that I guess was popular in the early part of the 1970s, but it's not one that a lot of songwriters use these days.
Well, I just think, you know, I'm not really sure where it comes from, really, but I just consider myself really, at the bottom of it all, kind of a fairly dull guy. And to write a song about me is probably the least interesting thing I could do, you know. So I find it more interesting to kind of place myself in a position where it's someone else, and I kind of get in there and crawl around in his skin for a while, you know. And I just feel like I can get taken over by that. So I'm not too concerned with self-consciousness or being part of, you know, kind of a self-confessional thing. I don't really...
Do you just pull these stories out of the air? Say, for example, Drive, she said, about a guy who's a taxi driver and a bank robber gets into the car and they take off down through the streets. And,
Well, I think they're probably, on this record, on The Big Heat, I looked at it after I finished it and I thought, you know, I've probably just read too many bad detective books, you know, or something, or a lot of trashy TV and things like this. They're really not very unique, and, you know, the stories themselves, a lot of them are kind of like, you know, your kind of grade B- movie or something in a sense. But I think I wanted to couple that with music to make it a kind of a travel log. So it would take the listener someplace and be a little bit more entertaining than just, you know, dancing or something like that. Nothing wrong with that either, but I'm just not that good at doing that. So.
Now, most executives at record companies would say, no, no, come on, you've got to have the hook and you've got to repeat the chorus 3 times and you've got to have this, that, and the other thing. Your songs don't seem to go that way, but...
Huh?
They did say that as well?
Oh, of course. But you know, you have to kind of, you have to come up with rationale with the people that are at record companies or whatever, to show them that there's a lot of unusual things that can be popular, you know. You go into somewhat of a dancing bear routine to convince them that this kind of little odd piece you've made could be popular, even though you might be thinking, no one's going to buy this, you know. It's something you have to do just to get along, yeah. There is no perfect, you know, company or people you work with that say, oh, we just love everything you do, you know. I mean, they invested money in it. They want it back.
You're fairly unique among songwriters, as we were talking before, for not only your narrative style, but also because of the fact that you took the advance from your first 3 solo LPs from the record company, rather than giving it to somebody else to record in their studio, as you went out and you bought a bunch of recording equipment to do it at your own studio. That's a pretty novel idea.
Well, we thought at some point it would just be better to, you know, purchase our own equipment, and then, you know, consequently each project that we would do in there would be probably cheaper. You know,
not only for the liquidatable assets, but also for the fact that you would have the studio here at your beck and call 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's worked out to be, you know, it was a good way to go at that point. It just seemed to me to make a lot more sense to make some kind of a place to do this stuff in, no matter how simple or Spartan it would be, but at least it would afford more creative time to go over things and stuff. Not in all ways is it advantageous sometimes, though, because when you have a whole bunch of time, you actually postpone a lot of decisions that you might naturally make if the clock was running and you were burning up money. So making the record took some amount of time, a little bit longer than it normally would have, because we kept leaning back in our chairs going, well, we don't have to decide on that now.
So let's go upstairs and watch a movie.
That's right. We can just hang out. And by the end of the day, we had about 30 decisions that, you know, we hadn't made as we went along, so.
What's your recording technique? Do you pick up a sound and then go downstairs and explore it, and you do that sort of sporadically? Because as you said, when the clock is ticking, you go in there and you bang it out as fast as you can. It's
very intuitive. You just start with something and see what strikes your fancy, you know, and then knowing that you're recording on you know, 24 tracks or 16 tracks or something, I always feel that anything there can always go away. You might start with something that inspires another sound, and later on you realize that you'd rather keep the one that you're going to keep the one that was the inspiration and get rid of the one that started it. Well, you think this one's very essential. So you build it up, and eventually you have something that you're kind of wrestling with. And it's hard for me to say how it actually happens.
You have to have a lot of self-discipline, though, I imagine, because, as you said, you could just tend to loll around and say, well, you know, I can come back in here tomorrow and do it.
That's exactly what I do. How'd you find that out? Yeah, well, you have to...
We have spies everywhere.
You have to be a little obsessive about it. You naturally want to get it done, but there's also a side of me that is extremely lazy. you know, and just wants to have it done now, you know, and just get it over with. Writing a song is a lot like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. You see the picture, you know what you want, and then you just have to put these little pieces together, and sometimes that can be a bit tedious. You end up actually cheating sometimes, shaving the piece a bit, you know, and shoving it in there, you know.
Just to get it done.
Sure, but then later on, you know, there's many roads to the same place you can get to, yeah.
Your sound with Wall of Voodoo was described as being very American, you know, just definitely an American sound. And I think it's the same with your solo career and the Big Heat. Yet, over in Europe and the UK, you're huge. Big Heat was a hit, Salesman was a hit, Camouflage was top 5 over there. It's interesting that such a definite
Jerry Lewis
American sound. Yeah, it's like that.
I'm going to be touring with Jerry next year sometime, me and Jerry Lewis. No, I'm sorry.
But it's like that situation. It's a quintessential American thing going over huge in Europe.
I don't know. I think Europe and Europeans are interested in American things. They always have been, but I think also there's a tendency for them to feel they don't want to be Americanized, you know, and I think that's natural, you know. We just got back from Europe, and Camouflage over there was in the top 10, and that was a real fun ride. It was, you know, fun to do. I can't really explain it. I don't know. I think that a lot of European countries now are interested very much in American things, or things from North America, because they've had a lot of English music now. And the English aesthetic and sensibility, I think, is in some ways becoming a little predictable for them. So they find American things to be novel once again. You know?
And now maybe the American mainstream, seeing that Camouflage was a big hit over in Europe, will say, aha, it was a hit over there, so let's make it a hit over here.
Let's hope so.
Thanks a lot for coming in, Stan.
You're welcome.
Have a great show at RPM tonight, and tomorrow in Montreal at the Cafe Campus. Just before you leave, we have these presents that we give away, the standard Much Music Fair here.
Oh, a burnoose for my head.
Yes, and it goes quite well with the rest of your outfit here. Basic black with a little bit of white thrown in.
Oh, that's nice.
Thanks again for dropping by. Keep making good music.
Thanks a lot.
Because if you don't, the record company will throw you off the roster.
And I'll probably be back washing cars with this.
I understand that you have a terrible fear of laundromats.
Me? I don't like laundromats. Don't like them at all. They steal your socks there.
I heard that what happens is that socks crawl over the edge of the tub, and they actually get between the tub and the frame of the washing machine, and there's no way you can get them back.
You've seen that, huh?
Yeah. At least that's what the lady in the laundromat told me. Thanks again for coming in. Here's Stan's latest from the Big Heat.
Get this guy a doctor, fast.
This is Camouflage on Much Music.